The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, what?
Do you know what day it is?
It's our
Second birthday!
Happy birthday to us, guys. We've been doing this for 2 years. Why don't we have more money? No, just kidding.
Oh, shit, y'all. Well, look at us getting all old over here. It seems like just yesterday we were popping a $7 bottle of champagne and eating
But
the
don't
same
worry,
cake.
guys. We bumped it up to a $9 champagne bottle this time.
Cheers. And we don't have champagne glasses. We have wine glasses. But it fits a lot more liquid in it, eh? Wouldn't you say?
Wouldn't you say? I have an article, but before we get there, I have a story
Oh.
that's going to make y'all laugh.
Oh, God.
So I'm finding that, I need to go back to therapy because I'm getting really frustrated with people really easily, and I just have no chill. But today, this man kept hitting me with his suitcase on the trolley. He just kept hitting my legs, and so I kicked it. I kicked his suitcase.
You know what? Sometimes you got to do it.
And he looked at me, and he was shocked. And I was like, sir, you keep hitting me with your fucking suitcase.
He goes,
put it somewhere.
But I'm man spacing, and you're so tiny. You don't need that much space.
It, wasn't a suitcase. It was, a briefcase that was, too big.
What do you think he had in there?
Probably a body.
Or a jock strap. Like that one man.
I hated that guy.
If you want to know what that's about, head on over to patreon.com/esoteric oddities. And also, thank you, everybody. One, for listening, because we wouldn't have made it to a second birthday without y'all. And two, thanks to the patrons on our new Patreons. Patrons? I fucking always fuck it up.
What is it? I don't know.
Either or. But if you guys want bonus content, head on over to Esoteric Oddity or patreon.com/esoteric oddities to help out the show. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. And 2 years. It seems like...
let's reflect.
Shall we just reflect? I remember the first episode we recorded in Sarah's bedroom.
Oh my God, yeah, and it was a fucking old.
It was an
old.
Yeah, 2 apartments ago. It was kind of a nightmare. And then the audio was awful. It didn't sync up. It wasn't working. And then...
the story was bad.
The stories were bad. No, well, I retold mine. You never retold yours. Or maybe you did.
Yeah,
I remember what yours is about. Mine ended up being episode 5 or something. And then for the next 10 episodes, if you listen to our first 10 episodes, which I don't know, they're our most listened to episodes are our first 10. I guess that's because people want to go back.
Yeah,
I suppose. But we didn't edit back then. So there's a lot of awkward silences.
Yeah, don't listen to
There's a lot of bullshitting. There is also, you can tell we were speeding through it because we didn't have a podcast table. And I don't know what we were doing. The podcast studio was literally like a Tupperware container.
No, yeah.
That we put somehow, by the grace of God, fit both of our laptops on with 2 microphones and a recording device.
How did we even do that?
Hunched over. Were we sitting on the floor? I don't fucking know.
We were sitting on something. I think we were sitting on buckets.
And it was in August, so it was hot.
We love that for us.
Oh, God. Well, we upgraded, and now we have these squeaky-ass chairs. I'm sure you can hear that the screws are still falling out of. And it's not like we don't have the money to change it. We just, this is just real and uncut.
This is just what it is.
It's raw. It's real.
It's uncut. Oh.
Yeah, no, that's gross.
That is fucking gross.
Also, can we just say fuck the trolley in Philly?
I feel like every time I get on there, I have problems. It's literally now 8 o'clock, and I just got here.
It is
it's 9.
9 o'clock. Well, we also made a pit stop. She needed to get her Happy Meal from McDick's. But fuck the trolley.
I don't condone anyone eating it. I know it's shit. Please do not tell me about it, and do not judge me.
You're going to judge yourself when you shit your pants later.
I literally
And you're wearing a romper.
I'm gluten-free.
You're wearing a romper.
And I'm gluten-free.
I know. What is you going to do? But fuck the trolley. Are you a bus? Are you a train?
What is it?
You can't be both and then fucking be late. Pick a struggle, okay?
Me and Jonathan are having a sleepover tonight. So you already know.
We're
chugging about to get weird.
Chugging this champagne like it's our job. Because technically it is. We're celebrating 2 years of our job. Oh, Lord. So your article. You had an article?
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Give me that article. Oh, wait. So also, but I think today, well, I know today it's just going to be a grab bag. It's random. It's like so random.
You're
like
just
us.
like so random.
It's so
Could we watch
relatable.
Lizzie McGuire?
Lizzie McGooby. Coming at you. Oh, but speaking of, I know I spoke about this before, but Chrissy Carlson Romano, again, if you're not following her YouTube, you need to do it. Ren from Even Stevens. And when I tell you we had slight conversations, we certainly did.
Yeah.
And they
Exclamation point.
They reenacted the do you remember the musical episode with the going to the moon in 1969?
Yeah, I hated the musical episodes
Okay, well,
of anything.
fuck you, because she brought on the girl who played Ruby. Remember Ruby?
Ruby.
And she stole her feather pen or something like that.
Yeah.
She came back on and they redid the whole music video thing, like with the dance moves and everything.
Video.
I need that emphasis to be on the excitement of Christy Carlson Romano revisiting that song. So your excitement's there, but it's misplaced.
Oh my god, no she didn't. That's so cool. I feel like I'm in Hairspray.
I'm gonna soccer punch you in the third tit. Yes, Sarah has a third tit. That's why we are an audio only podcast. But if you head on over to patreon.com and you might get a little sneak peek of the triple nipple. I'm kidding.
Don't forget, it's hot outside. Don't forget to honestly put deodorant in between your boobs.
Do you do that?
Yes, I told you what happened today.
Yeah, I'm going to need y'all to wear that deodorant in between your boobies.
Yeah.
See your article.
All right. So in 2013, federal authorities began investigating this shady body brokers business in Phoenix, Arizona that sold donated bodies for research purposes, as they say. The research was Arizona's for-profit Biological Resource Center. That company was shut down following an FBI raid in 2014, but eyewitness details are being made public for the first time, and they're almost too grisly to believe.
Oh, Lord.
In a statement from a former FBI agent, Mark C. stated that he saw various unsettling scenes at the BRC, including infected heads, a bucket of heads, arms, and legs, and a cooler filled with male genitals.
What? In a cooler?
Yeah. Additionally, he discovered a macabre wall hanging. It was a woman's head sewn into a male's torso in like a Frankenstein manner.
Oh.
According to FBI agents, they found ultimately 1,755 human parts at the facility, filling 142 body bags, weighing 10 tons. Matthew Parker, another former FBI agent who worked on the BRC case, said that moving body bags from the facility resulted in PTSD diagnosis. He said he couldn't sleep after that. He said it looked like a junkyard chop shop where they just were ripping things apart.
How many people were working at this said establishment? This is a real article?
Yeah. Matt C's testimony has come to light as a part of a lawsuit by 33 people who say that BRC acquired their family members' bodies through false statements. Plaintiff Troy Harp, who gave his mother and grandmother's body to the BRC, told KTVK that he believed that they would be used for scientific research. He says, and
but they were like used for decoration.
Yeah, literally.
All right,
He says, and quote, cancer and leukemia and whatever else, using samples. So he thought that they were going to be like, he thought it was going to be helping other people.
Right, like science, like research, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, there are reports that say at least 21 bodies donated to the BRC were later used by the U.S. Army for blast experiments to study the effects of roadside burns and bombs.
Oh, no. Gotta throw that in there, too. What a way to go. I mean, I guess you don't need your body anymore, but shit. The disrespect.
So there's little to no transparency and regulation in this little-known industry. Often, they offer free cremation services to grieving families, but body brokers actually sell donated bodies on a research market where a human head can be bought for as little as $300.
That's pocket change.
Literally. And there's
girl, you should take that escrow account. You know how many heads you could get for that?
I love that. And then there was even whole cadavers for at least $5,000 as of 2013.
Oh my God.
And in almost every state, selling non-transplantable bodies, like human body parts, is legal as long as they are not feces.
Okay, but it has to probably be through a corporation or like an LLC. They can't just sell to the general public, right?
Well, they sell on the
I don't think it's. Okay, I could be wrong, but what it's sounding like you're saying is like it's weird and sketchy. But if it's if you are an LLC or a corporation, you could probably buy it. But if it's just like you and me, we can't go up. Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's like it's like they're pretending to be an LLC, but really they're like fucking sewing women's heads to fucking men's torsos and being weird.
Well, shit, that's weird. Like, and honestly, when it comes to the funeral game, I know that funeral homes can be a very dirty business. Yeah. And not dirty in this.
They all don't they like hide shit. It's like a backdoor to like weird.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know. Well, no, I didn't mean to be dismissive of you. I'm not trying to be because I don't know, because places probably do, but I know that things that I've learned from Caitlin Dowdy. You also look her up. She has a podcast, Death in the Afternoon, I think it's called. But she has The Order of the Good Death, and I've been very interested in her and all the shit that she has to say and her books and shit. And she's talked many times about how it's such a dirty business that, like, I mean, think about our ancestors. When you die, you were either like burned or buried, or they do the thing called sky burial, which we've talked about on this podcast before, where it's like you lay the body out in a field and let the vultures and the animals take to it. And it's like, it's just like letting your body go back to like where it's gone, because your spirit,
you're like circling back.
Right. But it when it comes to like the funeral industry, there's so many costs and stuff, and a lot of people who do this, it's such a last minute thing, and you only have like 7 to 11 days to get the body from when the heart stops beating to you get it 6 feet under. Right. Do you know what I mean? So like, and people are grieving and people don't know what to do, and you're getting a lump, like oftentimes, not all the time. Yeah, exactly.
So expensive. Like how someone died.
Exactly. And also another thing is like, if you have like a viewing or something, but you're going to be cremated, you can rent a casket. But a lot of people don't know that you end up buying a casket, which you lay in for like however many hours that you're viewing. And then you just have a fucking casket because they take the body out of it. They throw it in the oven, take off your pacemaker, turn on the fucking ignition. It's the remix to Ignition.
About by them.
Right. Well, I don't know about forgotten about, but like you just paid for a fucking casket. They're not fucking cheap. Also, I know Costco sells them. And if you go onto Costco and look at their fucking Q&A section on like under that, I was dying. Like it seems like a meme, like somebody edited it, right. But the answers are real. It's so funny. If I remember, maybe I'll do it at the end of this episode or something. I could probably tell you right now that I probably didn't, but just maybe. But so yeah, that industry is weird, because what would anybody want that shit for? Also, like, what happened to the guys? I'm curious. Like, did they get arrested?
Oh yeah, they did.
On what grounds though? That's so weird. Well, I mean,
they were literally taking human bodies and sewing heads to torsos.
I understand that.
And they made it seem like they were going to do research, and all these people sold their like families' bodies to them, and they were doing cruel things.
But I mean, once you sign over a body, and I'm totally not taking their side on it at all. I think it's weird. It's fucked up. It's disrespectful.
It's only legal if it's like transplantable. Science. If it's actually science. If you're doing weird shit with it, then it's illegal. Like, so let's say they were actual scientists and they were like running tests. They're like,
well, these people aren't the scientists. They're the brokers. So they're like the middleman. So I guess you're right. They probably shouldn't be doing anything with the bodies because they don't have the licenses, unless they're artists. Then it's like, what it is.
What is art?
Were they? My real question is, what the fuck were they doing with all that shit?
I told you.
No. I understand what they were doing, but like, what were their aims? Were they just like, you know what, this room could really, what could open up bodies. You know what this open
well, I think they were like really doing it for money. I think there was like, so basically you saw that you could buy a head for $500. They were obviously selling the parts to like.
Yeah, but they weren't fucking using them. They were putting them in a fucking cooler next to the fucking Gatorade.
For cryotherapy.
I fucking hate you. God damn it. All right. So you have 2 stories. I have 1. Do you want to do a sandwich dealio? You have 2 stories, right?
I do.
Okay. Do you want to do you do 1, I do 1,
yeah.
Then okay.
My
Wait,
one
let me
story.
guess.
Go ahead.
Are they both murders?
The second one really isn't.
Okay.
It's like a really skeptical story that everyone seemed like, come on, Sarah, why do you want me to do this?
Because we love a healthy
Because
dose.
it's my 2-year birthday and I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Amen. Cheers to that. Go gadget arm. I'm trying to cheers you, but you're not lifting your glass.
Because I'm tired.
No, you're not. You're alive.
Anyway, let's start this shit.
All right, take me away, baby. You've already sold me with the body parts. Now sell me with
All right.
what you got.
A man named Mark Coolthirst. Yes, that's his last name. But
Cool.
Coolthirst. But we're going to call him Mark because I'm not saying that a million times.
All right, you don't have to explain yourself, baby girl. We get it.
He owned a fishing boat known as the Investor. Mark worked his way up from working alone out of a smaller, they call it a skiff, but it's just a small boat, like a rowboat,
Oh.
to an $850,000, they call it a seiner, but what it is like,
About.
it's a boat. There was a crew of 5, including his wife. The Investor was the envy of many men in the fishing town of Craig, Alaska. It was a beautiful boat, and many people aspired to be just like Mark. He was at the top of his game, and he was not a native to Alaska.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
You're gonna think I'm insane. I was gonna do this shit this summer. I had like a secret midlife crisis that I talked to Hillary about because she used to live in Alaska, and I was gonna like just go up there and work at this like salmon place that she worked at for a year. I was like, I just want to do it.
I would be really sad. You're like my only friend.
Well, I would have came back, but I think I was not in a good place. We're good. It's fine.
Okay.
We're fixing.
You can't tell me
issues.
that. You're like my only friend.
I wouldn't abandon you.
And I can't take this podcast on. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do those cool pictures you do. What? This shit would flop. You are this podcast.
Shut up. No. We are this podcast. 2 years. I couldn't do it myself.
I really appreciate you involving me in that, but really, it's you, bitch.
No, because I wouldn't sit here and talk by myself.
But you're really good at it. You do it on YouTube. Did you hear my fucking bonus episode I did alone?
It was great.
Let me know.
Sarah did a bonus episode alone. It was so great because I think I was in Iceland when you did it.
And you were like, you have to do it alone. And I was like, okay.
And you were just like, hi guys, it's me. I'm really nervous. I don't know how Jonathan does this. Is it this or is it this? Let me know.
Okay.
You did fantastic though.
Thanks.
Shut up. I love you.
I appreciate you. He's my biggest fan.
I appreciate you too. Continue.
Okay, Mark worked out of Blaine, Washington, and traveled to Alaska for the short but often extremely fruitful fishing seasons. Like I said before, any man could make a small fortune with expertise and a few good years of fishing, but Mark was very successful.
Right.
And it only took him 12 years to work his way up to the Investor.
Okay.
Versus that small boat he had. And despite his success, he was well liked amongst the community.
I feel like we're going to take a left turn with that one. Make a few enemies, make a few friends. Some friends become enemies, enemies become friends. And in the end, you really find a lot of things about yourself. And it's not just fishing that you're into.
And away we go.
All right, let's do it.
On September 5th, Mark, his wife Irene, she's 28. His son John, he's 4. His daughter Kimberly, she's 5. His cousin Mike Stewart, he's 19. A friend, Dean Moon, he's 19. And this guy named Jerome, he's also 19. And then a guy named Chris, he's 18.
Wow, we got a young fucking crowd. How old is Cool Whip? What is his name? Coolidge?
Mark
Coolthirst.
It doesn't ever mention it.
Well, if his wife is like 28,
so
and all his friends are like 19, but it also took him 12 years. Which, I mean, I guess if he started when he was younger, if it's like a family business, I don't know.
So they unloaded.
Hold on, wait. I'm sorry. So you named everybody. How many people? Are they all on the boat?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
So 8 people, including 2 children, who are probably of no help at all. Let's be honest.
Correct. So these 6 people.
Yeah, plus the 2 kids, right?
Wait, 1.
Including him and his wife and the 2 friends.
Yeah, it's 8 altogether.
Okay, right.
So these 8 people, probably the kids didn't help, but that's fine. We'll just put them in there because
we'll just put them in the cooler. Put them in the fucking cooler next to the genitalia.
Look at that. They unloaded over 77,000 pounds.
Oh wait,
salmon.
I take that back. That wasn't supposed to be like a.
No.
Pedo joke. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
To a Halbeck Seafoods tender worth over $33,000. Mark preferred to wait until the end of the season for a lump sum of cash and did not take any money for his catch. The season was not over. So he's like racking up all this cash. But he didn't collect it yet.
So he's racking up the stock, right?
Yeah.
So so if something goes wrong with the refrigerator or something, all that stock's going to go bad and he's not going to get shit for it.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
That's where I thought it was going.
No.
Oh, okay.
So, Mark parked. Do we park boats?
I think we established.
boats.
I think we established you can park it though, right? Put that shit in on the Prindle. They said they have Prindles on boats, right?
Sure.
Park, reverse, neutral, lower. I don't know what the L stands for.
Yeah. So, Mark docked his boat next to another ship known as the Decade at the North Cove dock in Craig, Alaska, the following day, and it was a Sunday, the day that Mark and his family planned to celebrate his birthday.
Like our birthday.
Yeah. And they went to a restaurant called Ruth Ann's Restaurant, and Moon and Jerome left the boat together.
Okay, so they're both like 19-ish.
Yeah.
19 and 20, I think. Okay. I'm trying to pay attention to numbers.
So Moon and Jerome were not with the family when they went to this restaurant.
Okay.
So rumor has it is that these two men, Moon and Jerome, went to buy a small quantity of drugs from a man named John Peel.
Okay. And they're just friends, right? Or was one... I know that Moon is a friend, and I think maybe the other guy was a cousin.
Yeah, so Mike Stewart is the cousin.
Oh, okay. So they're both just friends.
Moon, Jerome, and Chris were friends.
Okay, got it. Copy that.
So like I said, rumor has it that
they left to go get drugs.
to go get a small quantity of drugs from John Peel.
Okay.
Stewart, so Mike and Chris...
Right.
They left together as well, but no one noticed them around town. So no one knew where this Chris and Mike guy went. It's saying their last names, but...
Right, you're trying to piece it together. So essentially, the people who are now left at dinner is mom, dad, and the two kids.
Correct. And everyone else is just doing their own thing.
Right. Getting drugs, fucking doing hood rat shit.
Exactly.
Love
so according to a witness, Mark's family left the restaurant around 9:30 p.m. And mind you, this is September 5th.
Okay.
A crewman who was on the Decade, which is the boat he parked next to, said that John poked his head into the pilot house to greet him around 10:30 p.m. A storm rolled in that night, so no one who boarded that boat or Mark's boat saw or heard anything strange. The crew of the Decade threw a loud party, and they claimed they did not hear anything throughout the night.
Oh my God, just wants your attention. Okay, so just to clarify,
they threw a loud party. No one heard anything.
But they're on the boats.
Yeah.
They're not staying inland.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
staying on the boats at the dock. Okay, got it.
It's gonna get real. Are you ready?
I think so.
At some point during the night, an unknown individual or individuals shot and killed all four members of Mark's family with a .22 caliber pistol or rifle. This occurred shortly after they returned to the investor, which is their boat.
You do like really rip the rug out from under
I
us
said, are you
sometimes.
ready?
I thought I was, and you just jammed it right in there. You didn't
Authorities
lube
made
it up
this
or anything.
claim because Irene was still in her dress she wore from the restaurant. As the other four crew members returned to the ship in pairs, authorities believed that they were murdered as they entered the ship. The murderer or murderers stayed aboard the ship as for the remainder of the night and stacked the 8 bodies in bunks.
Oh, I thought it was going to be one of them. So all 8 of them, including the children, are now murdered on this boat.
Yes.
Oh my God. And they waited, which makes me think they knew how many fucking people were going to return to the boat. Don't you think? Well, you already know, but I'm just...
Sure.
Rhetorical. Fucking entertain me.
At 6 a.m. the following morning, one of the crewmen from the Decade walked out to the deck.
I just realized he got murdered on his birthday.
Yeah. Well, this crew guy from the boat next to it, he went out to the deck to vomit into the ocean. Because like I said, they threw a party. Remember?
Yeah, it seems convenient. Remember?
He noticed the investor, which is Mark's boat, drifting away from the dock. He waved at a male pilot. He waved at a male piloting it away. The man waved back, and another And another Decade
ew.
crew member came outside and witnessed the individual as well. At around 7:30, another boat saw the investor anchored out at the near Fish Egg Island.
Ew, Fish Egg Island. You could have called it Caviar Paradise, and you called
Something,
it Fish Egg
Egg
Island.
Island.
I mean, there's 8 people dead here, so that's not the thing to focus on, but just a thought.
Yeah, def. By 10:30 a.m., fog was clouding people's vision, of course.
It's fine.
And
it's
soon
what it
everyone forgot about the boat. Mysteriously,
well, also that's not really out of the norm. It's like people, you see a boat docked, and then the people who go out to not being in the dock,
they go
clearly
away.
we're not. Clearly we're not fishermen. I don't fucking know anything that we're talking about. But okay, yeah.
But the weird part is Mark's smaller boat reappeared at the docks and had to be moved several times by other fishermen. Later that day, Clyde Curry, he was the first.
So hold on, wait. I assume he had a smaller boat that was like aboard his boat.
Yeah, like they have those on the side, like as an emergency boat. People kept seeing that like drifting out, and they were like, "What the fuck? We have to move this!" And like a million people had to move it.
Okay.
So that was weird.
And it was a little like what is it called? Not toboggan.
A
dinghy.
skiff.
A dinghy. A skiff.
But it's like a small boat. Like
or a dinghy.
paddle.
I like dinghy.
Okay, ding. Later in the day, Clyde Curry, which was one of the members on the Decade, which was the boat that was parked next to Mark's the day of his birthday, he was fearing that the investigator left the dock due to their loud party the previous night.
Okay.
So he radioed the investigator apologizing. He received no response from anyone because
they're dead, but he doesn't know that.
Exactly. The following morning, the fog cleared and people noticed the investor still anchored near Fish Egg Island. Several witnesses noticed a man load several cans of gasoline into Mark's skiff boat, so the small boat, and navigate outwards towards the investigator. The individual who was bringing the gasoline in the small boat doused the ship in gasoline, thoroughly soaking the cabin where he stacked the bodies, and then he lit it on fire.
Did people see this? How far out is it?
It must be really far out because
It's also foggy, and that fucking works for him.
I'll get there.
Okay.
When the flames calmed down from the crime scene, it made the bodies really difficult to identify. At some point, rescuers were able to get the fire under control enough to enter the ship for a short period of time. They pulled out 4 bodies before the flames started coming back, further damaging the cabin. The bodies belonged to 3 of the Coulthurst family and Stewart. So remember, Stewart was one of the guys.
Right.
Police found multiple gunshot wounds in all 4 individuals.
Okay, my question is here, if you're going to murder, and I'm not giving murderers any ideas, but this just goes to show how fucking stupid people are. If you're going to murder 8 people and you're on a boat, right? And you're lugging gas back and forth on your little fucking dinghy. Don't you think you would just lug a couple of cinder blocks and just tie the people down and throw them off the ship, and then have it be like our last episode where just they find the ship and nobody's on it? Because how fishy is that going to be? Oh my god, fish pun. Love a good fish pun.
It gets worse.
I know, but but isn't that stupid? Don't you think? Because like boats just don't catch on fire. So and of course,
well, obviously, they know someone did it.
The second you catch a boat on fire, it's literally going to catch the eye of everybody nearby.
Right. And remember how there were people who saw someone on the boat going back and forth.
Sure, you were not covering your tracks.
But wait, it gets worse.
Oh my god.
The fire destroyed the cabin and left the remaining bodies in piles and bones and ash. Police were never able to identify the body of 4-year-old John, and they suspected the fire consumed his entire body. They did identify the body of Jerome, but were never able to identify whether the remaining fragments belonged to Moon, Heyman, or both. So,
damn, it must really fucked him up. Like, didn't even leave a skull for them to check dental records?
So, Dean or Chris.
Okay, right. But they know for sure it's like the wife, the daughter, and the one other guy. Yeah,
because at that point, remember, the fire started again, and they could only pull the 4.
Right.
Still, authorities did not believe there was only one individual responsible.
Right, that's a lot of work to handle.
Yeah, and they also didn't believe it was anyone on the ship that did it.
Is this solved? Oh, wait, hold on, don't tell me. Okay, tell me. Go ahead, continue.
So it basically witnesses claim that the man they saw didn't resemble any of the crew that was on the investigator on that day.
Right. Unless he was a scapegoat.
Well,
or a task rabbit.
30
Maybe he was
hours
hired.
prior,
Okay.
whoever did it tried to sink the ship by opening the Seacocks, but decided to set it on fire the next day when his plan failed.
What's a seacock?
I have no idea. He accomplished his goal as most of the evidence was destroyed in the blaze, and the investigator massacre remains unsolved to this day.
What if it was...
John Peel?
No. I mean, maybe. But what if it was the captain, the guy whose birthday it was? I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. What if it was him and he wanted to get rid of his family because he was never identified? Yeah?
But he died.
But what if he wasn't the eighth person?
They definitely said that he was dead.
Oh, I thought the only identified person was Moon. It was the wife, the daughter, Moon, and then they couldn't identify the son or anybody else, and they just kind of assumed that they were in there.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. What if he wanted to get rid of them all, and then, oh, wow. Also, how do people know they came back in pairs? And nobody heard a gunshot? Nobody heard... Well,
also,
I guess...
no one was able to... They literally... people said that they saw the man drive the boat. So who was it?
Well, they may not have... I don't know. The person who was parked next to them, did they know them well?
They said that the bodies belonged to 3 out of the 4...
people on boat that they could...
of the family.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I have
So
it right here.
so
they pulled out 4 bodies before the flames got worse.
Oh.
The bodies belonged to 3 out of 4.
Okay, so they got...
Because it could be Mark. We don't know. There was 4 of the family. Well, 5 with the cousin.
Right.
They only identified...
They
4
right.
And John Stewart.
Wow. I thought it was Moon.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Moon is Dean. Mike Stewart, it's Mike, not John. But Mike
Okay.
Stewart is the cousin.
Wow. Interesting.
So it could be Mark.
It could have just literally been the family. What if nobody else was on the fucking boat? I am confusion. I've never heard of that before.
Well, I'm not done.
You always leave me on this note that's like, and I'm done. And then I'm like, wow. And you're like, and there's more. Okay.
People started blaming John Peel, the guy that sold the
drugs.
Sold drugs to the 2 guys. So it took nearly 2 years for authorities to charge Peel with they're calling the investor massacre, and another 2 years for the case to go to trial. Their evidence was based on similarities between Peel's appearance and descriptions of the suspect from multiple eyewitnesses. There were also clear motives since Mike fired Peel a year prior to the investor massacre.
Whoa.
Because of his alleged drug use. I couldn't tell you. It would ruin the whole thing.
Oh my God, you held out on me, you little storyteller.
Peel's first trial occurred in January of 1986. The defense attorney threw doubt into the prosecutor's case by pointing out discrepancies in the witnesses' statements, many of which had trouble describing the events of the 4 prior, which should not come as a surprise to anyone. Several witnesses say they saw Peel purchase gasoline and pilot the small boat and take gasoline to the investigator.
Oh shit. So people are like, hey, you look awful similar to that man who motherfucking had the gas cans and got on the little dinghy and started fucking heading out to sea.
Right. So this is what I left out before because I couldn't put it in here because
Oh
it would
God.
have
The last pieces of the puzzle.
messed up everything.
Okay.
Witnesses say they saw Peel stop at Ruth Ann's restaurant to talk to the family, but Peel disputed this in court, claiming he was asleep at the time.
So witnesses were like, hey, we saw you at the fucking Cracker Barrel. And he's like,
Talking to these people on Mark's birthday.
and he's like, nah, bitch, I was asleep. Interesting.
Okay, so now in court they're saying several witnesses claim that they saw Peel talk to the family at Ruth Ann's restaurant. The defense argued against these claims, stating, like I said, Peel was asleep at the time. Instead, the defense presented 2 alternative theories. Either the investor massacre was the result of a drug deal gone wrong, since some of Mark's success largely depended on illegal drug trade. Plot twist.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Some authorities believed these claims, while others disputed them heavily. So the defense's second theory was that either Heyman or Moon were the true guilty party. Keep in mind, authorities never positively identified their remains.
Mm-hmm.
After 6 months of brutal debate, the trial resulted in a deadlock for acquittal of Peel. 2 years later, Peel went to trial again for the investor massacre. This time, the trial lasted only 3 months since the defense could not call any witnesses.
Only 3 months.
Right.
After 2 years.
Okay. This time, Peel's defense succeeded, and he walked away a free man. Authorities believed that Peel was the man responsible and stated their opinions publicly. In 1990, Peel sued the state of Alaska for $175 million for wrongful prosecution.
And did he win?
In 1997, Peel agreed on a settlement for $900,000. Since then, he has commented on the subject, stating essentially someone knows what happened, but he is not wasting any more of his life on the matter. So there are obviously a few alternative theories, like a drug deal gone wrong and the idea that the 2 men are responsible because no one found the remains. But I feel like they're unlikely candidates because they don't fit the description provided by witnesses. And everyone was saying that it was 1 man, not 2.
Right, but it could have been 1 man staying on the boat.
Right, that's true.
Could have been somebody just literally hiding in the cabin with the dead bodies. But also, do you have any more details about how the drug was involved in Mark's life? How, like, there was drug shit? I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. I mean, think about it. You're literally, like, self-employed. You're just out there fishing and you're fucking making a hole. But it's a dirty...
I mean, the drug deal gone wrong is an interesting idea, but there's, like I said, there's no evidence. Like, I couldn't find anything saying that Mark was...
But there wouldn't really be evidence.
Because it's illegal drug dealing.
Right. That's the fucking issue we ran into in the last Patreon episode.
Because the people I already know are dead.
Right. Exactly. Loose lips sink ships.
But remember that Mark had over $33,000 coming to him after the fishing season ended.
But he didn't fucking cash out.
That's true.
Unless... Did somebody cash out for him?
Not that I know of.
Huh.
But like we said, the jury deemed Peel innocent. But is Peel really capable of murdering 2 children?
I don't fucking know him.
Right.
Maybe. Bitch, maybe.
I mean, there's also the theory that maybe Peel owed someone money, so he wanted to get that $33,000 that Mark was supposed to have.
That's, I suppose, plausible.
Because that's who the 2 guys got the drugs from in the first place.
But, but wouldn't there be an easier way for him to rob him of his...
That's true. Instead of
his fish, rather, because think about it. He didn't keep the fish on his boat.
Right.
I don't quite know where you keep them or how that works.
No, he did. When you fish, you keep them on the boat and then you give them to the market. And then the market gives you money for the fish.
Yeah, but he probably didn't keep them on the boat the whole time. He probably had a refrigerator on land somewhere.
Right.
Or like an ice box at least. I feel like that's so much fucking money that you don't want to be like driving around with.
That's true. Well, let us know your theories at odditiespodcast@gmail.com.
Wow. And that's a wrap on that?
Yeah. Finally
that was really good.
That's the story of the investor massacre.
Never heard of it. And it's tragic because it's unsolved and there were kids involved.
I know, isn't that so crazy? It's just really crazy that no one knows like even where to start on like breaking it down.
Every time I hear a story like that, it's just like you think you've heard it all and then you hear another crazy story and it's like, oh, didn't hear about that one, and here we fucking sit with nothing but questions. It was crazy because
when I was doing my research for this, I was like, did we do this before? And I had that same thought, like, it's so crazy that we've never done this before.
I'd never even heard of it before.
Like, the true crime world is so fucking big.
Unfortunately, like, can everybody just be fucking nice to each other? I'd love to end this podcast, like, true crime side and just talk about, like, ghosts. So stop killing people, but if you do get killed, like, haunt people. I'm just kidding. That was insensitive.
Right.
Of me. Don't get killed. Don't get killed. Stop it. Knock it off.
Were you scared? Did you get scared?
Yeah.
That cake. I had a lot of gluten today. Listen.
Sarah, your fart just scared the shit out of me. Wow.
Oh, it stinks over here.
I'm keeping that in. That literally, like, I jumped. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Well, are you ready to jump, baby? Because it's my turn now.
Jump it, jump for my love. Jump it.
Hey, you guys, we have a built-in drinking game. Anytime I say a singular word and Sarah takes it away with a song, go ahead and take a shot.
I love that.
And then bop
Take
around.
a shot for me.
Oh, there we go again. Take two, double shot. Also, wait, can we talk about how we went to a pool party and Sarah and I were taking Jello shots in the pool and they definitely had fucking pool water in them.
Wait, it was so bad. I feel like we were taking the most, and this one person was concerned.
There were 70 Jello shots, and when
10
I say
left.
No, when I say there were 2 left in the refrigerator, there were 2 left in the
We
refrigerator.
definitely ate all of them because everyone kept saying they taste like antifreeze, and we were like, "Where?"
Antifreeze it up. What is wrong with us? Lord help
And Jonathan
us.
got a really great video of me. I took a $50 Uber home.
Yeah, but you fucking did the damn thing. That was
I
great.
did. I
Oh,
drank a
God.
lot.
We sure did. Yeah, there will be
And
video.
I did not leave that pool.
I didn't either. The next day I was back.
I love that.
And look, I didn't even get the sunburn.
Yes.
I got color. My nails look fucked.
Cooler.
Okay, so I think, Sarah, you in particular are really going to enjoy this story. So it's got some murder, it's got some ghosties, and this is the true story of Bobby Mackey's Music World.
You would do this.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
You have?
Bobby Mackey. Who hasn't heard of Bobby Mackey?
Yeah, but Music World.
Yeah.
Okay. So some people fucking call this place the portal to hell. There is a dark history surrounding this place. And
It's so funny. My next story is so similar to this.
oh my God, stop. Okay. So, like I said, there's a dark history surrounding this place. And with that, of course, there will be legends and twists to the true story, which inevitably will turn some things fictional. So I'm going to do my best to pull apart the truth from the legend. Okay. So Bobby Mackey's Music World is a honky-tonk nightclub / bar in Wilder, Kentucky. I'm just going to say it. It's essentially like a bar.
I'm like waiting. Like I'm just gonna say
It's a bar. As we record this podcast in 2019, it is still open for business and owned by Bobby Mackey himself. Bobby Mackey is a country musician who gained popularity in the 70s and 80s. Bobby Mackey's Music World was actually one of, if not the very first bar / club to have a mechanical bull inside, which still runs to this day. Have you ever ridden on a mechanical bull?
Sure have.
Me too. You rode on the mechanical bull when we went to the Phillies game, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a time that was.
Right. I got mustard on my shirt.
Yeah, I fucking, I hit myself on the balls on that thing. Do you know what you don't know what it's like to have balls?
I don't know what
but it's like on a mechanical
Can't
bull.
say that I do.
If you hit yourself in the balls, I've been on one once, but one thing about this place sets it apart from the rest. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
What?
But I won't ruin it.
Okay, cool. It is allegedly haunted as frick. Okay, so now I'm going to dive into the history of this place. And you said I don't know if you know all of it, but
I don't know all of it. I know the
essentially, yeah.
you know.
So it's kind of like American Horror Story Murder House. Like there are so many fucked up dark things that have been proven to have documented happened here. So it's gonna be a little episodic, so I'm gonna let's just go through it. Okay, sorry, here we go. All right, so like I said, there's so many dark, different, awful things that have occurred in this place. I'm gonna be talking about the stories. Try to motherfucking keep up, okay? Just go for the ride, and I guess strap on because it's gonna be a spooky ride. So before it was the popular bar, it was a much bloodier place, and I of course mean that quite literally. So in the 1850s, it was actually a slaughterhouse. And it wasn't a huge slaughterhouse by today's standards, but in the mid-1800s, it was the largest packing house in the region. The workers would bring in animals, slaughter them, and drain the blood. Now, this was way before any sort of health codes were put into place. So they dug a well in the basement of the slaughterhouse, and they would drain the blood, and the blood would go into the well, and then the well would lead out below underground, and it would end up in a nearby river called the Licking River.
Oh, not the Licking River.
I'm saying,
I don't want to
right?
lick that river.
I'm sure you don't. And according to many, the river would run red on the days the slaughterhouse was being drained.
I'm sure.
Which was pretty much Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And this shit was certainly not OSHA. I can tell you that much. Now, according to the legend, the slaughterhouse owners, they ran a very dark business. Besides fucking slaughtering animals, the owners would abduct children from the local orphanage and force them into free child labor. They even went as far as to have some children chained up. And because they were smaller, they couldn't do the heavier workload. Like, they couldn't really do a lot of the work, but the kids were allegedly responsible for melting the lard out of the animals that would be drained into a vat. And being the small kids that
Is
they
this
were,
a cult?
so we'll get there, baby.
Sounded very culty.
Some of the children would fall into the vat of hot melting lard and essentially be boiled alive.
Just essentially.
And once they were dead, remember, they were orphans, so no one really knew and nobody would come looking for them.
Wow.
So the slaughterhouse closed in 1890 and the building was left unused and abandoned. And so begins our next chapter. So in 1895, Pearl Bryan was the daughter of a very wealthy farmer. She lived with her parents in Greencastle, Indiana, and she was the youngest of 12 motherfucking children in a high-profile family. And by the age of 22, so she actually was 22 in 1895, which is when I'm going to be talking about her. 5 of her siblings had died of diseases because that's just how it worked back then. So again, she's age 22, and Pearl was the most popular girl in the area, and many men were after her.
I want to be the most popular girl.
All right, people are dying, Kim.
Sorry.
So her best male friend, who I get like a gay vibe from, who and was also her cousin. His name is William Wood. He introduced her to a young, handsome man named Scott Jackson, who was attending a dentist school in Cincinnati. So William Wood, her cousin, and this Scott Jackson fella were going to school together, though William Wood wasn't in the school for dentistry, but they, you get it. So again,
how do they know each other?
William,
the guy.
William Wood and Scott Jackson went to the same school. So
you said that.
Yeah, but they just there was a dentistry school within the university.
Oh, got it.
But William, the cousin, wasn't a dentist. That's neither here nor there. Shut the fuck up. Get out of my head. Get into my car. That's a song. Don't know who it's by. So dentistry wasn't hella popular back then. So the people who were dentists were freaking rich bitch. And Scott himself actually came from a wealthy family. So Pearl, met him and was like, damn, he's hot, he's hung, and became head over heels for him. And Pearl's parents were just like, hey, damn, he's hot and he's rich. We totally obliged. Like, go for it, girl, get your damn dick. And he was smart, he was successful, and again, he was a young student from a rich family. But what they didn't know was that Jackson had just dodged an embezzlement charge in New Jersey, as well as disorderly conduct with a female. So after that shit happened, he moved to Greencastle, Indiana to live with his mother and half-sister.
If it's too good to be true, it is most
boo-boo.
of the time too good to be true.
True. So from here, that's when he moved there, and he went to the School of Dentistry in Cincinnati, where he met William, who then introduced him, but you get it. So another fun secret Scott Jackson allegedly has was, according to the legend, he was a member of an occult group and allegedly participated in satanic rituals, okay? But Pearl had a secret of her own. Unknown to anyone in the town, she was 22 and pregnant with Jackson's child. Pearl did not want this child, but abortions were illegal at the time. And unsure of what to do, Pearl went to her cousin/gay BFF, William, who then told Jackson. And together, Jackson and Pearl formed a plan. And in January of 1896, Pearl was 5 months pregnant. She told her family she was going to Indianapolis to visit a family friend named Mrs. Fisher, but that was a lie. She was actually traveling by train to see Scott Jackson and his roommate Alonzo Walling in Cincinnati to get an abortion. So Jackson wanted to take care of this situation himself, aborting his own unborn child. So when she arrived in Cincinnati, Pearl checked into the Indiana House Hotel, room 114, alone. The following morning, Pearl met outside the hotel with Jackson and Walling. In an initial effort to abort the fetus, Jackson gave her some chemicals to get that he had gotten hold of. And as it turns out, it was just cocaine and it didn't work. Then they took things to the extreme. This is going to get a little graphic. So Pearl was laid on a table while Jackson used his dental tools. And after an hour, he botched it. Pearl was left alive and bleeding out, feeling everything as he attempted to abort this 5-month-old child.
5 months?
5 months. So
No.
Jackson then, since he was rich, he hired a driver named George Jackson, which there was no relation between this driver, George Jackson, and he himself, Scott Jackson. So George, the driver, didn't know anything about the situation at hand. He was just like, this rich son needs me to drive him somewhere. I got it. But George noticed that Pearl seemed to be in a lot of pain while she was in the back seat. And he told the trio that unless they told him what was going on or where they were going exactly, that he like pulled over and he was just like, I'm not going to continue driving. And that's when Walling threatened George and he was like, dude, you better fucking keep driving. I don't know in what way he threatened him. I don't know if he pulled a knife or whatever. But again, that was Alonzo Walling, the roommate who threatened the driver. So once they were in a desolate area just past the state border of Kentucky, Jackson and Walling helped Pearl out of the car and towards the woods. And this is when George fucking booked it, leaving the group without a car or a ride home. And they didn't have cell phones back there. They were kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Where were they going in the woods?
They were in Kentucky near I guess I'll get there. So a few weeks later, ready for this, baby girl? A few weeks later, on February 1st, 1896, the headless body of a woman was found less than 2 miles away from the abandoned slaughterhouse. Investigators noticed that her shoes were the brand Louis and Hayes, which was a Greencastle, Indiana shoe company, and there was a small serial number etched into the bottom. So they went to this shoe company and they gave them the serial number, and it was matched to Pearl Bryan as the customer who purchased the shoes. The clothes on the headless woman were stripped from her body and brought to Pearl's parents, to which they confirmed the clothes did in fact belong to their daughter, Pearl. In the autopsy, doctors noticed the presence of cocaine, and the decapitated woman's killer had severed her head just below the 5th vertebrae. Doctors said it was clean cut, and Pearl was alive at the time of her decapitation. The murder weapon? Dental tools.
Look at that.
Now, with this information, Pearl's cousin William let the family know what had really been going on. He was just like, hey, so she's been murdered. There's dental tools involved. She didn't really go see Mrs. Fisher. She actually went to go see her dentist boyfriend, who may have knocked her up, and somehow she concealed her 5-month pregnancy. And they were actually there to perform an abortion. So the investigators...
Now she's dead in the woods.
Right. So the investigators pressed Scott Jackson in questioning and did a full search of his home. So in his bedroom, they found an alligator skin briefcase type bag that belonged to Pearl. Inside the suitcase was blood and locks of Pearl Bryan's hair. A man then stepped forward and stated that he had seen Jackson carrying a bag near a bar in Kentucky, and the man asked Scott if he was carrying a bowling ball, as the bag looked like it contained something very heavy and round.
Oh no, it's her head.
Jackson responded no and went on about his day. So police arrested Scott Jackson and his roommate Alonzo Walling, and so began the biggest court case Kentucky had ever seen. Also, side note, that bag that belonged to Pearl is actually on display at a museum in Kentucky, and there's photographs of it, and I will be posting it, so make sure you check our Twitter, our Facebook, and Instagram. Go ahead and follow us there. So in early 1897, the men were brought to trial. Alonzo Walling testified that it was Jackson's idea to cut up the body and discard of it into the sewer system to avoid identification of the body. which makes sense because, they didn't really have fingerprints back then. So if they didn't really have a face to identify, they were just kind of shit out of luck. They didn't really take into consideration the fact that her shoes had the serial number on it.
How does this tie into that Bobby Mack's crazy house?
Oh, don't you fret, baby girl. I'm getting there. But the head was the only thing that was actually removed because Jackson had other plans for it. So Jackson and Walling were given the death penalty, but they had the option for a life sentence in prison if they let the police know where Pearl's head was. Both refused, accepting the death penalty instead. So 5,000 people gathered to witness as both men were sent to the gallows behind the Newport, Kentucky courthouse on March 21st, 1897. So the bodies were dropped, the men were hanged, but it ended up also being a little bit of a botched situation and took almost 5 minutes for the men to die. So according to the legend, before he was hanged, Scott Jackson swore and cursed the people involved with the case, as well as the location where Pearl's head was. It is said that some police officers and attorneys in the case all died in strange, tragic ways, though I could not find any documentation of said information. So we don't actually know where Pearl's head went. Most assumed that it ended up in the Ohio River. However, the legend has it Jackson used her head in a satanic ritual at a nearby empty slaughterhouse he knew of, where he threw her head down a well in the basement where it emptied into a nearby river. That would explain why neither Jackson nor Walling were willing to take a life sentence by revealing where Pearl's head was, because people believe that they were actually afraid of the cult's wrath, and that if they told the police, where it was, it would expose the group, the occult group, and then it would be, worse than a death penalty for them, at least in the afterlife, so they say. And I guess that ends this chapter, and the slaughterhouse remained empty for years until it was eventually torn down, but the original basement and well remained. So on to our next chapter, when a roadhouse was constructed on site, and in the 1920s it was turned into a speakeasy. As the Prohibition era, it was illegal to buy and sell and drink alcohol, so the owners saw the well in the basement as a great way to secretly transport alcohol. In 1933, the Prohibition ended, and thank God for that. Can we cheers to that? Because we wouldn't be sipping today. Heard that. So, like I said, in 1933, the Prohibition ended, and the speakeasy then became the Bluegrass Inn, which was an illegal gambling place, but it legally served alcohol, so that's kind of cool. It was purchased by a man named E.A. Grady, known as Buck. He renamed it the Primrose shortly after, and it did pretty well for itself. And then mobsters from Cincinnati noticed how well it was doing, and they were just like, hey, my dude, can we fucking buy in and get some cha-ching? And Buck was like, Buck, no. See what I did there?
I love that.
So in August of 1946, there was actually a fucking shootout between Buck and a mobster named Red Masterson. No one died, but Buck was arrested for attempted murder, but eventually freed. And 18 years later, Buck committed suicide. In 1947, the place was renamed the Latin Quarter by its new owners, the Cleveland Four, headed by mobster Mo Dalitz, alongside Red Masterson. They got slot machines and a couple of gambling tables, and the place was run essentially like a small gambling house / club, rather than just a conventional bar. And the new owners were arrested several times on gambling charges, but they always seemed to measle their way out of it. They were in the fucking mob. Are we surprised? Hell no. Where I actually used to live in Chicago, Al Capone actually had a house. It was like one of his houses that he stayed low in.
Oh shit.
Yeah, fun little fact. And it kind of looked like a Snow White cottage. It was cute, actually.
I love that.
So this is where the legend gets darker. In the 1950s, a young woman named Johanna, it's basically Joanna, but it's pronounced Johanna, Johanna Jules worked at the Latin Quarter as a dancer. She knew how to draw in a crowd and entertain, and always wore a rose-scented perfume. So she ended up falling in love with a musician. He was a crooner who played at the club often, and his name was Robert Randall Mickey. But her father did not approve of this relationship. And apparently her father had ties with the owners or the mob themselves. So nonetheless, they continued seeing each other, and eventually Johanna got pregnant. Her father's response was to send a hit out by the mob to kill Robert. For a while, she thought it was an accident, but ended up finding out that her father was behind the hit on her lover. So Johanna was having a conversation with her father while in the basement of the Latin Quarter. Apparently, that's where there was like a dressing room. Like it wasn't like a sketchy, scary basement. Yeah. Like there's a couple rooms down there, and at the time there was floors or something, and her father was there. They're having a conversation in the basement of the Latin Quarter. She poured him a glass, which he drank, then passed out. Johanna herself took the same poison she had used in her father's drink, drinking it herself, killing herself and her unborn child. Like Pearl Bryan, at the time of her death, Johanna was 5 months pregnant.
Oh, God.
Oh, also, just gonna say that her father survived.
Oh, wow.
He got really sick. He got poisoned, but he survived that. So our next chapter starts in 1978 when Bobby Mackey and his wife Janet purchased the bar. At the time, Bobby Mackey was a pretty well-known country musician. Like I said, he was no Billy Ray Citrus, but he was well-known. So he bought the bar, named it Bobby Mackey's Music World. Sounds like a great place, right? Wrong-o. Instead of touring, he planned on, it kind of became like a residency tour, only it wasn't a residency tour. It was like a permanent, which I guess is like a residency tour, but like a permanent residence. So essentially, he was just like, if y'all want to see me, I'm not going on tour, but you know where I'm at. Bobby Mackey's Music World.
Bobby Mackey.
Come on down.
To Bobby Mackey.
Right, spin them around. So before they opened, Bobby hired his first employee. So this guy's going to be like a very key part. His name is Carl Lawson. Now, most people describe him as a very nice guy, but sort of a loner. He took on the title as the caretaker and handyman of the bar. And like I said before, he plays a key role in how well-known the establishment and its history became. So before a lot of this, Carl did a lot of research, but Bobby didn't really know anything about the history of what had happened on the land that he had just purchased. So Carl ended up moving into the small apartment that was above the bar, which allowed him to work late hours. He would just walk upstairs, go to sleep in his little apartment, and then he could wake up early and just literally walk down the stairs and be at work. I would hate that. So in 1978, when the bar had just opened, Carl started to see and hear things after everybody else had gone, had left after the bar closed. He would again be the last person alone to lock up before leaving. He would lock the doors, turn out the lights, then he would go to the back room to close the kitchen, and when he would come back into the bar area, the lights were turned on and the doors were unlocked. Every morning around 6 a.m. when Carl was in his bed, which was in the apartment just above the bar, he said it sounded like soldiers were marching through the floors downstairs. And then he would go downstairs and there would be nothing. So one night after turning off the jukebox, he turned his back to it and it turned on and began playing the anniversary waltz, despite 1, being turned off, and 2, not having that sound on deck.
Nope.
That song wasn't in the jukebox at all.
Nope.
And I had to look up the anniversary waltz, but it's one of those old-timey World War II songs that are really fucking creepy if it plays when you're by yourself.
Can we listen to it?
Yeah, I'll play it after this. However, Carl had a reputation of being a heavy drinker, and most people who heard his stories in town thought he was a little crazy alcoholic looking for attention. And this whole time, Bobby Mackey was not fucking happy about this ghost talk at all. Paranada. I'm saying he thought, because at the time, like, that stuff wasn't something that would attract people. That would chase people away. He's like, I don't fucking want this shit going on. And he didn't believe that the bar was haunted. This is Bobby Mackey himself. But then things got weirder. The first incidents with the lights and the doors and the jukebox were strange, but Carl never saw anything until he witnessed his first ghost taking the figure of a dark-skinned, angry man who was standing behind the bar.
Oh, no.
Now, what was weird about this was that he wasn't alone when he saw this. There were actually other people at the bar. The bar wasn't closed. It was like towards closing time, but he saw a ghost and there were other people there. So it's a situation where you wouldn't think it would necessarily be scary because he wasn't alone. But nobody...
he was probably the only one who saw it.
Nobody else saw the apparition. You already know. Mm-hmm. And then Carl saw a spirit who called herself Johanna.
Oh.
He insisted he was telling the truth and that she left the smell of rose perfume after she had been around. And then there's this coincidence that Johanna's lover that was murdered, remember him? Mm-hmm. His name was Robert Randall Mickey. And Bobby Mackey's birth name is Robert Randall Mackey.
Look at that.
One motherfucking letter off.
Right.
So then there was another situation. One day there was a car accident right out front of the club. It was really late at night and there was a man driving alone and he hit a pole. Luckily, an officer was down the street and he was parked in a car on the side of the road. So he called for an ambulance and he tried to help the man. So he tried to pull the body out and then it became obvious that the driver had died on impact. So a young female bartender walked out of Bobby Mackey's bar with a tablecloth to cover the body until the ambulance came. So the officer called the next day and actually talked to Bobby Mackey himself. The officer said one of his employees was nice enough to come outside and give him the tablecloth and the officer just wanted to call and thank the woman and that was pretty much it.
There wasn't a woman that worked there.
Bobby said that was impossible because the bar was closed at the time and nobody was working. Plus, the alarm system was set and never tripped, so nobody was ever there. So that's a thing, but it's definitely
Bobby Mackey.
It's not the worst or most violent thing that would happen at Bobby Mackey's music world. So Carl said he felt the spirits strongest in the basement. So something told him to go downstairs alone and look under the floor.
Oh, no.
Now, at this time, there had been like a kind of shitty, brittle wooden floor.
Don't do it.
So with his bare hands, he tore up the old, brittle wood floor and found a well straight up like the fucking ring. Carl thought it would be a good idea if he sprinkled some holy water in the basement and make the bad spirits go away. Johanna could hang out if she wanted to be cool, so he sprinkled holy water in the well and
that cult shit.
Things got worse. This time, Bobby Mackey's wife Janet was alone in the bar when she smelled roses. Now I'm just going to say Janet Mackey was just as not even skeptical, but she did not believe. Yeah,
she was like, fuck
She was like, fuck this shit. Like, let's not fucking talk this. But she's here alone. By this time, Carl had moved out from the apartment above. So now late at night, she's home or she's there like alone and Carl's not even upstairs as like a sort of comfort. So she's here alone. That's when she felt a weird, unwelcoming presence near the stairs that led down to the basement. She looked down and called out, but there was no answer. Boom! Janet fell down the fucking stairs, hitting every single one.
Oh,
she felt the hands of something push her. She yelled for help, and that's when a voice said, "Get out."
Oh, no.
The worst part was, are you sitting down?
Yeah.
Just like Pearl and Johanna.
She was 5 months pregnant.
Janet Mackey was 5 months pregnant. The fall from the stairs caused her to go into labor, and hours later, the baby was born prematurely. Luckily, both Janet and the baby survived the complicated birth. Now, I know that sounds fucking made up, but Janet was dead ass 5 months pregnant, fell down these stairs and gave premature birth basically on the spot. She went into labor. So now I'm going to say, before Jerry Springer was an entertaining shit show, it was more of a talk show. And both Janet and Bobby Mackey were on an episode that aired on December 13th of 1991. And I'm just going to play a very short clip of some things that they talked about while on the Jerry Springer show.
Just to clear the record, you had not been drinking anything?
No. I was pregnant.
You were pregnant?
I was pregnant.
Is it possible you felt baby pain, baby moving?
No.
You were literally picked up off the ground.
I was literally picked up.
You were thrown down the steps.
Right. I was like pushed by something down the steps. I fell to the bottom. I was on my knees. I looked up, and there was a voice saying, "Get out, get out."
Were you screaming, crying?
And I was trying to scream.
You couldn't get anything?
I could not get nothing out. No.
Bobby, she's your wife. Are you buying this? Are you buying this?
No. First of all, I don't believe in ghosts at all. And we've been there for 13 years.
But that's not true.
Well,
That's not true.
it is true.
No. Believe me, Jerry.
We've been there for
he's
13
wrong.
years, and I have never
Because-
seen anything or experienced
No.
anything. Why
But
doesn't it show itself
if
to
he
me?
was pushed down the steps, then he would believe.
She's your wife.
No.
You're not believing her? You think she's
but
making
Jerry-
this up? She's
Or if
lying?
See, she had been
No.
hearing these stories. She didn't like the place
I don't
anyway.
care.
She was terrified of the
If
place
he was the
already.
one pushed him down the steps and had
She was
all the trouble
terrified
I've
already.
had, then you would understand my side.
She had been
because
hearing
there
these
is
stories,
ghosts
and
there.
I think the power of suggestion, I think
Right.
she was looking for things
No.
like that.
That's not true.
So you think, are you saying she's lying?
No, I'm not saying she's lying.
Well,
I
you
think
might
she
as well
believes
be
it happened.
because you don't believe. and
She
I
believes
believe
it happened.
Okay, all right.
So,
She does
Okay.
believe it happened, but
right.
but
It did
I
happen.
mean,
I don't believe it happened. It
Well,
did
how do you
It bothers me.
explain Janet's fall?
I don't know. I just don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe there's such a
Well,
thing.
there was
I-
something there to grab me.
Did you
and
wind
pick
up
me
in the?
up.
Did you wind up? What happened to the baby?
Well,
I went into labor at the incidents when I fell down the steps.
Yeah.
Pushed down the steps, and I got to the bottom.
well, it was later. It was
Later,
more the next morning.
about 8:30 that next morning, I had my daughter.
So that's just a little clip. I'm going to leave the full video in the show notes for this. And as you can hear, the incident caused a lot of friction in their marriage, which led to people believe Janet. Because one, why would she want to lie and cause
Yeah.
friction in the marriage? And two, why would she fucking throw herself down the
Downstairs to go into
stairs
labor early.
to fall into?
Also,
the
it's a very coincidence that every single woman is
It's
5 months pregnant.
It's a very coincidence indeed. And
I said it's a very coincidence.
you certainly did. Has 2 sips of champagne. But in like all seriousness, the baby was born only 1 pound. She was like 3 or 4 months premature. And again, luckily the baby did survive and is still alive today while we record this. Now, even though she said, even though he says, Bobby, I'm addressing you, that there are no ghosts, he had never actually been in the building alone before. Most of the times he's only there to perform. He has everybody working in management under him. He doesn't have to do anything. He just owns the bar. And the only time he's there is, when there's a crowd of people, he performs. You get it. But he wrote a song for our favorite ghost, Johanna, and it actually became one of his top listened to songs. Also,
he doesn't believe she's there, but he could get famous.
Right. Also, I'm gonna note that Janet refused to step foot in the bar after that.
I would.
So by the time that Janet and Bobby had gone on Jerry Springer, Carl had actually compiled 30 sworn affidavits from people who said they experienced something unexplainable or supernatural within Bobby Mackey's music world. So within these affidavits, there were cases of disembodied voices, lights turning on and off, and even the mechanical bull turning on by itself.
How does he explain the police officer calling him and telling him that someone helped and there was no one there?
I'm shrugging. One man said he was washing his hands in the bathroom alone when a metal garbage can flew across the room and slapped against the wall, spilling over. And that's when the dude saw a man standing in the bathroom with a handlebar mustache just staring at him. Now, I'm also going to say that the bathrooms that are in this bar are like a onesie. It's a one-person bathroom.
Like Woody's.
Right. And employees report the scent of rose perfume and even a few sightings of a headless ghost that matched the description of Pearl Bryan. Psychics actually came in and they said they felt a strong presence in the above the stage in the spotlight room, which is essentially off of the catwalk that's above the little stage that they have in there. And one of the psychics, I think they had 2 psychics come in, if not 3. One of the psychics actually left, said pretty much good luck, and then refused to ever enter again. Didn't even charge them money.
Oh, doesn't even know.
Keep your money. So Carl became so overwhelmed by his experiences, he feared a spirit had entered his body. And later in 1997, Carl had an exorcism in the bar, which is filmed in its entirety. You can watch it online, and you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to provide that link for you and your ugly friends to watch. Yeah, he had an exorcism in the place. So the paranormal experiences within the bar became so severe that they actually posted a warning sign out front of the door that still stands today, and it reads, quote, "Warning, this establishment is reported to be haunted. Management is not responsible and cannot be held liable for any actions of any ghost or spirit on the premises," end quote. I want that sign hanging outside of my room. And a few years later, in 2006, 3 guys entered Bobby Mackey's Music World to film the very first episode for their show, Ghost Adventure.
Look at that.
Weird fucking shit happened in this episode, I will say. While they are filming, a statue of Jesus that was found in the basement near the well had fallen over and the fucking head fell off.
Ooh.
I'm also going to say I'm not a fan of Zach. You've of course seen the show. I feel like everybody's kind of seen the show. Not a fan of Zach. He's hot, but he's a douchebag. But this was season 1, episode 1 of Ghost Adventures. They filmed it in 2006. It didn't get picked up until 2008, but it ended up, this location is what ended up leading to, according to Zach, his divorce and him basically being like, this is the life I want to lead. This is the shit I want to do. Now you know that there's some scandals behind him and not everything is what it seems, especially when it comes to television. You got to fucking entertain the people to make them sales, baby girl. That is Bobby Mackey's Music World. Now I'm going to rewind a little bit, and I just want to say, I don't know if I believe the orphans falling into the vat of lard, because there is no record of it. But then again, it is very possible that there wouldn't be records of it because it was 1850 or around the 1850s when that would have happened, and they were orphans, and you know the damn thing. I also want to say, I don't know if I believe, and I'm honestly going to say I don't believe, and there was any sort of satanic sacrifice that was made in this building, but I do believe that Pearl Bryan's head was thrown down the well, but not as a sacrifice, as a way to conceal her identity. I don't know if I believe the Johanna tale, because upon further research, there was a woman named Johanna who committed suicide by poison. But that occurred in 1914, which was decades before the 1950s when the dancer Johanna works at the club. Ooh. But again, I don't know. And I also just want to say, I believe places are haunted. I believe this place is haunted, but I also think that people, like, the power of our minds is a lot more powerful than you think it is, or than most people give it credit for. I think people can manifest things, and if true believers go there truly believing that it's haunted, I think that their energy can amplify any sort of energy that's already there. You know, people aren't going to like hearing this, but it's a science. It's quantum physics. You know, our energy as humans, the energy that we emit, a wavelength turns into a molecule. Energy cannot be destroyed. Are you following what I'm saying here? So
I'm disappointed.
I think it's haunted. Why are you disappointed?
Because it could be haunted.
No. I'm not saying it's not haunted. I'm just saying I think that the more you think a place is haunted, and the more I do think weird shit's happening. There's way too many, like, something is clearly going on here. There's too much shit that has happened to too many different people who are claiming that they see different things, or are claiming that they see similar things. That, you know, I do believe something weird is going on here, but I also think that in the realm of things that are haunted, I think us as living beings in this dimension that we're in, I think that we emit to that. So I think whatever is already there, any paranormal entities that are there, which I do believe in, that were already manifesting at Bobby Mackey's Music World, I think that us believers go in expecting it to be haunted, and then when it is a little haunted, our fucking energy takes that haunting and blows it through like a fucking, what are those things called, like a bullhorn, and just makes it louder because our energy is boosting that energy, and then the haunting, because I think you're thinking I'm saying it's not haunted.
No, I know you're saying it's haunted. You're saying if you believe it's haunted, it's making it more haunted.
Right.
Your energy.
Right.
But I just believe it's haunted.
No, I believe it's haunted too, but I think the things that are making things unexplainable, like turn on and shit, I do believe that it's possible that we're or these people are, making these things happen. And that is the paranormal shit going on at Bobby Mackey's Music World.
I mean, like, I kind of get it because you know how they say, like, or they'll show those movies where, like, the family starts fighting a lot and then shit starts to go down because, like, of negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I can get that. But I definitely believe there's some paranormal shit in the world that's just really unexplained.
I absolutely agree, too. I'm just kind of being at the end.
With, like, satanic shit, like, I
Right.
feel like...
Right. And who am I to say that shit didn't happen there? But also, I kind of want to say Carl, when he started, he kind of brought to light a lot of the history of it. And I don't know how much of it, because one, if there was a satanic cult there, what kind of documentation is there going to be? There's probably not going to be any documentation. Same with the orphans that are killed. Is it possible? 100%. Is there documentation?
No.
100% no. But there is a reason why there wouldn't be. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where the skeptic in me is. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate, a great choice of words on my behalf, if I do say so myself. But I'm just trying to look at it both ways, because I don't want people to listen to this podcast and be like, oh, these, because this is honestly how I feel. This is my honest opinion. And I don't want this podcast to be like, oh, it's haunted. And like, this is all the shit about the tale, because honestly, watching the Ghost Adventures episode, there was some stuff that the dude said there that I actually found with my own eyeballs reading reading newspaper clippings that are archived online about like Pearl Bryan's death that weren't true. And of course, like, you're trying to amp it up for entertainment value, but I'm not trying to just entertain. I'm trying to
State the facts.
Yeah. And I'm trying my best. I don't know, I'm just doing. And that's right. That's all I can do. It's just my best. And that's all you can do too. Just do your best.
Do your best.
There she goes singing again. And so that's all I got for you.
All right. So this place is known as the Black Forest. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
All right. So this is near Colorado Springs. It's within a region traditionally known as the Pineries, which once sprawled over 1,000 square miles and is now named the Pineries due to the high concentration of the ponderosa pines found there.
I assume that's a pine tree?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, I love a haunted forest, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay.
The sparsely populated area is well known for its slow-paced lifestyle, crisp, clean air, beautiful nature, and breathtaking, picturesque vistas. Now, I've been to Colorado once and it's beautiful, but it made me break out in hives.
I know. What was that, altitude?
But it was one arm.
Yeah, that was bizarre. It may have also been something on the plane.
Oh, fuck.
It could have been. I could be wrong, but who knows?
I mean, that's true. We never know. It was for these reasons that in 1991, a couple by the name of Stephen and Beth Lee moved to the area from Louisiana along with their two sons in order to purchase a secluded 2-story log home off of Swan Road, and it was surrounded by untouched wilderness, and it was their dream home.
Oh, God. Okay, so we got the 90s, and we've got a secluded home in the middle of the fucking Black Forest.
And it's a fucking cabin. So,
let's do it. Oh, God.
Unknown to the family at the time, the property had previously been owned by a man who allegedly had experienced intense paranormal activity, yet he did not inform the Lees at the time because he did not think anyone would believe him.
Also, he was probably like, I'm trying to fucking sell this fucking house.
Right.
Get me the fuck out of here.
Or worse yet, he would be laughed at. The family moved in without having any awareness of this previous paranormal activity, and he had not heard any rumors. And the family didn't.
Right, because who the fuck are they going to hear rumors from? The neighbors?
They're new.
The neighbors
They're
from
secluded.
20 miles
away. They don't know
away?
anybody.
Oh, God, I'm nervous.
So, like I said, they didn't hear any rumors because how the fuck would they? Which made it more surprising when the incident started escalating.
Oh, God.
And it began to plague them in their new home soon after moving in. Now, let's start this shit.
Also, I kind of want to say, I kind of don't want to say it because it's been like in my mind, but I haven't said it out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm 4 glasses of champagne deep.
Go.
Nothing's really happened in my house in the past year.
Isn't that weird?
I think. Well, you heard, was it you or was it Gabby? I think it might have been you. It was you who heard voices upstairs.
You know, it's always me. I'm always tweaking.
Well, you're not sleeping up there tonight.
No, I hate that third floor.
Why were you up there? Why didn't you sleep in my bed?
It was occupied.
See how I erased my memory? Okay, anyway.
I was like, what? Do you really want me to say it?
No, I really totally tried to erase that from my... Anyway, back to you.
The phenomenon started within barely a week of the Lees moving in. The couple's 2 young sons began to complain of strange lights in their rooms as well as what appeared to be shadows moving around. And this could have been chalked up to children's imagination.
Right. Or, I mean, depending on how close their house was to the road, it could have been like a car driving by.
Right. But Stephen and Beth started experiencing the same thing.
Oh, God.
In addition to this, flashing of lights would be seen in the forest. Doors in the home closed on their own. Lights or electrical appliances were turned on and off by themselves. And there were sometimes like thumps, bangs, knocks on the roofs and walls, as well as footsteps and music.
Oh, God.
Out of nowhere. No. There was also a weird chemical smell that the Lees would smell out of nowhere, and it would literally take up the entire house, sometimes so strong and overpowering that it stung nostrils and eyelids.
Oh, and it was a chemical smell.
Yeah.
Interesting. Might have been the asbestos. Or I guess asbestos goes under notice. It could have been something in the linoleum. I don't know. It was the fucking 90s. Shit was weird back in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s when they had that shit.
Beth and her husband actually wrote a book. It's called Haunted Places, The National Directory. And in this, they quoted, "One day we came home and it was like the 4th of July in our living room and bedroom. We had all kinds of lights flashing and it sounded like people stomping across the roof. We would lay in bed at night and hear chains rattling. One night we woke up and heard orchestra music. Strange things started happening every day."
Oh no, orchestra music. That's horrifying.
Right?
Now there's one girl, oh my God, I hate that I can't remember what her name is. She plays the harp and they played her song in The Strangers. What is her name? Joanna Newsom. Joanna. Oh.
It's all coming together now.
But something about like that music, I don't know, it just creeps me out. Also,
they would hear chains rattling.
okay, hi, can we talk about the chains rattling?
Yeah, what?
Did I tell you, I think I did briefly, that I went to... Oh, that was the cat. I'm on edge.
Okay, same.
We're here alone too.
I mean, at least we have each other. At least we're not here alone.
That's true. I could
I'm
fight a
staying here.
bitch. What was I going to say? Oh, I was with my cousin Julie and we were in a graveyard off of Lover's Lane. And we heard, I thought it was like a dog tied up in a yard. Mind you, it was like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. And it was a chain dragging. Indeed, there was a chain dragging on the ground. It was like a chain dragging on the concrete. And it was a little secluded little graveyard. And yeah, that was horrifying. Back to you.
As scary as all of this was, Stephen did not believe that anything paranormal was going on. And he suspected that it was all the work of trespassers trying to scare them off of the land and out of the house. In order to prove that there was nothing going on, he spent a really long time and money installing state-of-the-art audio surveillance. After installing the video surveillance, he started capturing strange images, including orbs, streaks of lights, and more glowing and undefined outlines of human figures, faces, and even spectral images of animals out in the woods and near the home. And several of the images were posted in Fate magazine in November of 1994. Which I will find.
Oh God, I can't wait.
Already know.
Can you imagine just like going through those pictures and finding them?
I have one picture that I sent you. It's of a mirror, and there's like
horrifying.
Yeah. So Stephen thought this was a technical malfunction, so he tried several different types of cameras and film, but got the same results every time, no matter what he did. On top of all this, the motion detector alarms that they had installed were prone to going off without any evidence of anyone being there.
Yowzers.
Stephen Lee began contacting the El Paso County Sheriff's Department and even hired a private investigator, still convinced that it was people trying to get them out of the house or a burglar were behind it all.
Right, just something like that isn't paranormal.
Right. Well, authorities made 45 separate trips to the home, but never found any evidence of a break-in or any criminal activity.
Now, can I ask you, and you may not know the answer to this, did those same police, had they heard of the previous owner? Did he ever call them? No?
I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
The only unusual evidence offered up was a cloth, and it was saturated with the sour chemical odor that they smelled in the house, but it was found to be, it wasn't any sort of dangerous
ectoplasm.
substance. Look at that.
Was it ectoplasm?
No.
I need to know. Well, it could have been. Maybe it was.
The constant calls coming from the Lee home caused them to believe that he was delusional and paranoid, and they started to more or less ignore his complaints. By this time, the Lees were becoming more and more aware that just maybe there was actually something paranormal in their house, and they reached out to a TV program called Sightings
Maury Povich. Oh.
in 1995, who would eventually do a whole series on the home and show it to the world.
Oh my God, the fridge just turned on and it scared me. Did that not scare you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you're fearless of the appliances in my house, so that's good. If we have a haunted fucking blender, I know who to call. You.
When the crew arrived, they came with a psychic. Her name is Echo Bowden, who was immediately humbled by the concentration of the spiritual energy in the house, and she stated that there were at least 20 entities residing there, with one particular described as being very powerful and malevolent.
Okay, malevolent. First off,
malvoyant?
malevolent.
Malevolent.
Oh my God, girl, I'm
malvoyant.
You need to be hooked on phonics. 1, 2. What the fuck is 20 fucking spirits doing there? Y'all better start fucking paying rent.
Well, the whole production was plagued with mechanical malfunctions, inexplainable electromagnetic interference, and cameras and tripods knocked over by unseen hands. At one point in the investigation, one of the crew members were reportedly attacked by something unseen, which jumped into her and supposedly left her whole body numb, with feeling in her limbs only regained after being physically escorted out of the house, as she cried uncontrollably.
On the show?
She later described it as feeling as if something had been trying to possess her body.
Okay, I'm very interested. Can we find this on YouTube? Because I'm thinking they moved in 1991. We're probably talking mid-90s, maybe early 90s still. Probably. You don't have to give it. Okay, perfect. Let's find out.
The things that were happening were so weird in this house that the crew ended up returning 6 months later to investigate more. This time they brought another psychic named Peter James, who also immediately claimed that he had never felt psychic energy of the magnitude he felt there. As he walked through the home, James claimed that much of the energy seemed to be focused on an upstairs closet from a 100-year-old mirror kept in the master bedroom. This is the mirror I sent you a picture of.
Oh, God.
Both of which he speculated were some sort of vortex connecting the physical world to the spiritual world. Adding weight to these claims were photographs then taken of the mirror, with many of them showing ghostly faces staring back or strange streaks of light. I didn't do the ghostly faces. I did the strange streaks of light because I was scared.
It's probably just like a Windex commercial. It's like, streaky mirrors, clean it up with Orbits. I mean, Windex. You get it.
I love that. So much random footage was taken over the course of these visits by the TV show Sightings to the Lee home that is considered one of the most well-known documented hauntings ever.
Really?
Yeah. James said, and quote, "There is an energy here unlike I've ever experienced in all of the years I've investigated. So the Black Forest is indeed in a very important place that should be further investigated." Not long after filming, James woke up one day to find a painful welt on his forehead for no apparent reason. He went to the doctor and got a CAT scan later, and the welt was still unexplainable. However, when going through photographs taken at the Lee house, among many images of the paranormal activity was a picture of James standing in a room with what appears to be a bright dagger of light pointed directly at his forehead.
Oh my God.
Something he had not seen at the time. It was a very odd experience in a case already literally like pointing to the fact that this house is haunted.
Oh, okay. That's when things start getting like physical. You go to a doctor and the doctor is like, shrugs shoulders.
Exactly. Like they don't know about that shit. So with the TV program and the rumors going on about the haunted Lee home, it got to the point that even the state senator Charles Duke went to visit the home in 1996 to check it out. Duke was highly skeptical at the time, but his mind was soon changed when he experienced the strange phenomenon for himself, and even managed to capture on film a ghostly, smoke-like form, what looked like a dog.
Was that the end of the sentence? It sounded like there was more to that sentence.
Well, okay. So when he saw the photograph of the dog, it forced him to think, like, there are certainly some things in here that don't belong there. I don't know what they are. He says he's shocked. He says he's not a believer yet, but certainly there's something going on in there.
Right. Clearly. What the fuck? You got a welt on your damn forehead.
Well, weird enough, the images taken by Duke supposedly resembles a dog that the Lees had, which had died 10 years prior, and the same dog would go on to be routinely sighted and photographed in the area, sometimes actually hovering off the ground.
Oh, have a dog.
Now we have another skeptic who was surprised by the location was the electromagnetics expert Bill Gibbons, who went in planning to debunk the whole thing and came away convinced that something strange was going on.
Surely.
He says, and I quote, "I saw spectacular light shows that could be seen with naked eye. It's an extremely active site. There's nothing that Steve or his wife are doing to cause this." In the following years, countless psychics and paranormal investigators, as well as skeptics, have been to the Lee home, and many literally come away with the thought, like, actually, it's not a lie. There's shit going on in here.
Okay, right. What did you fucking think?
So one local, her name is Hoppy Shaman, has explained that the reason is because it is located on the site of what he refers to as the Rainbow Vortex, which is a doorway between the worlds of the living and the dead. Other psychics and investigators have similarly come to the same conclusion, that the house, for whatever reason, holds a mysterious vortex or gateway that allows entities to pass back and forth between worlds unhindered.
What's giving them? I mean, think about the history that's behind that house, or before the house. What is it? Is there a fucking burial ground under it?
No one knows.
Right, you don't know what the fuck happened to that land. Like, it could be a fucking vortex in between the worlds, but it could also just be a haunted ass fucking ground.
Right.
With some fucked up history to it. Can we go there? Tell me they're on Airbnb.
They def are.
Are they?
No.
Oh, don't get my hopes up.
So there's this theory that people have that they think that since Stephen Lee was so against ghosts, that he made up this theory that rather than ghosts, he's being stalked by a shady government organization. And the idea is that there were trespassers on his property, and they want to evolve a web conspiracy of government agents and secret experiments. And Lee has said that he believes that they're interested in the family for the purpose of testing out biological weapons, psychic warfare, mind control, and laser holographs. He later claims that he has seen black-clad armed men prowling outside the home, and he blamed these individuals for cutting the power to the home and spraying them with unknown chemicals. And that's what he's saying is happening.
So he said that?
Yeah.
Or are people saying he said that? I'm a little confused.
Okay, so it's a theory that people are saying that, like, because he doesn't want to believe that it's haunted, even though all this shit is happening, he's saying, like, I think it's the government.
Okay, so he himself is not saying it's haunted. He is saying that, to his conclusion, kind of what Bobby Mackey was doing, where he's like, it's not haunted, but he's saying it's not haunted, it's a government.
It's the government. Right.
Okay, but the reason behind it is because he doesn't want to say that. Okay.
Right. But he's gone so far as to even try to bring the FBI to investigate his claims, but they responded that there is not much they can do because there's no fucking evidence.
Right. And even if there was evidence, it's kind of like...
It's weird because I was reading this article, and in the article, the person said that he visited this house, and this Stephen Lee guy and the two boys chased him away. They will not let anyone near this house.
Well, I'm sure they're probably, like, if it's their... Especially if he doesn't want to believe it, it is where he lives.
Right.
So I wouldn't be, just because my house is haunted and it's out there in the public, that if my house is haunted and it's like publicly known, I don't want people showing up on my fucking doorstep taking pictures through my windows. It's still my house.
Right. But that's the story of the Lee household and
The haunted fucking
Black
Blackwoods or whatever.
Forest.
Wow. Never heard of that before. I'm gonna have to look that up. We should probably watch that tonight. Do you think
We
it's
are.
like a thing?
Let's do it.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Yeah, I never heard of that before. I don't know what to make of it. I believe it,
That's
but
it,
I would like
honestly.
to watch.
I would like to get to know you better. Like to get a piece of that spooky.
Well, speaking of a piece of that spooky, I guess that's a wrap on our second birthday.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
hope you
also
enjoyed.
want to say I really thank you guys. You honestly, you give me purpose. It's like, even though I work a full-time job, I feel like this is like my it's like my outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan always tells me about the nice things you guys say, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Like, it really makes a difference. And like he says, like, we bust our ass, we're working and then we're recording, but like we're also hanging out, we're talking about things, and then hearing that you guys like love to look forward to Monday mornings because we're recording, like, it really pays off for me.
Yeah, I second that notion. When we took our break, it was obviously we have things that go on that we don't talk about, but it was kind of nice that like people missed us while we were
like
gone.
seeing
And
like,
it-
oh my god, where are you guys? Like, that was
it's-
great.
Yeah, a lot more people kind of came out of the woodwork to tell us like, where the fuck are you? We want that episode. Not in like a greedy way, but like we
To show us, like,
yeah.
you just, I guess, like, when you're podcasters, you just never know, because people, people can be listening to us every Monday and they don't follow us on social media,
Right.
like,
and we see the numbers, but I mean, they're numbers between the numbers of the people who listen to us versus how many people interact with us. There's
Right.
a huge difference. So we know that there are a lot of people listening to us, but it's just kind of like a number. And then when we kind of fell off the grid there for a little bit, well needed, I will say,
Yeah.
on both of our behalf, but and then a lot of random people started kind of coming out of the woodwork, like, hey, where are you? Miss you, hope everything's okay. Like, people just genuinely concerned,
yeah,
and
they
being like,
genuinely want to hear it. They genuinely,
it's nice. So, and we truly, like, I know we're not like the most educated fucking people. We're just here. This is kind of what we
This is
do.
fun
We like,
for us.
Yeah, we
like this
talk,
stuff.
but also we don't take it lightly. Like, we work hard for this,
Yeah.
and we think that you guys recognize us. So thank you. And the ratings and everything, it's just so nice. And also, I want to say the fellow podcasters out there.
they have
y'all-
reached out to
yeah,
us, connected, like
y'all
true
know
crime
who-
girls,
yes,
like,
Murda, what up?
yes,
Especially-
exactly.
Y'all know who you are, and we kind of keep up with each other. We listen, even though like I don't talk to a lot of the podcasts that I do listen to, but like I know they listen to us and we
Yeah.
listen to them. And it's nice. So it's a nice little community that we talked about weird, fucked up shit, but we appreciate you all.
And especially Patreon,
Yeah,
like we always say.
yeah, seriously.
I mean,
Yeah.
not more than anybody else, but
you guys
the
like
fact
to
that
will
you
take
guys-
your hard-earned money and are willing to like help us out so we can
and
make
to listen
the show.
to a bonus
Right.
episode, like, that says a lot.
Right. So then with you saying that, I'll segue. If you guys want bonus content, head on over to patreon.com/esoteric oddities. We do have some new stuff coming
Coming
via
up,
soon.
it's hot.
And make sure you follow us. Do you have a fun fact and a tweet of the week?
You know, I have a tweet of the week. I don't have a fun fact.
Okay, so I'll read my fun fact. So my fun fact says, and I don't know how true this is, but I found it on the internet, so it must be true. Many expensive perfumes contain whale poop. More specifically, it contains ambergris,
I love that for you.
which is a waxy substance produced in the intestines of sperm whales. Its fragrance is said to be like bottling the smell of the ocean when you arrive for the first time on vacation. Well, you know, my vacation smells like a whale's butthole. I don't know about you.
Wow,
But
look
I
at that.
guess
You put a
that's-
lot into that.
It's like copy and pasted it. It was a whole lot of work.
My tweet of the week is from Ashley, Alyssa Ashley. Her @name is @Alyssa Ashley. She says, do you ever not know someone's birthday, but then Leo season comes around and they start posting the entire month about their birthday, and then you're like, okay, that makes sense. That's literally me.
Okay, so I actually have a retweet. So let me read the original tweet. So the original tweet says, one of the few female rappers that actually paid mortgage to Nicki, not being a hypocrite. I hope her and Nicki never beef. And then reply tweeted by @DBCXPTURES. And that person said, there is no way on this planet that you used mortgage to say homage. And this person literally said they paid mortgage to Nikki. I'm dead. And well, that's that on that. I guess we can say thank you guys again. We already got into the sappy shit, and I'm sure you'll hear some more sappy shit possibly within the next 11 episodes. If you can do math and you know what episode this is, then you'll know what's 11 episodes from now. Thank you guys so much for listening. And this is Jonathan and Sarah over and out, motherfuckers.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.